back. We're at episode 2. We're very happy to have concluded episode 1. As we promised at that time, we would venture out to Armenian communities in Georgia. And we have done so. We visited 2 towns in Georgia, several areas that we're going to go a little bit more deeper into right now. In this episode is financial literacy, skills and competence, and also selection of migration. These 2 interviews that I mentioned, we actually did 2 more. So we have 2 more in Armenia in this episode. So out of these 4 interviews, we will have several very interesting examples on migration and development, and people who have been involved in what we can call circular migration. And what is so interesting and to the point in this episode is that development is in the actual center of our analysis today.
Continuing what you have already said, I want to say that we'll examine basically in this episode 4 people whom we interviewed in different cities of the region, and they are all interconnected by the ways by the ways how they each of them finds his own solution to stay and to sustain, and overall we'll see how exactly they do that step from sustaining to development.
As Ruslan already mentioned, we interviewed 4 people, 2 from Javakheti region and 2 from Armenia. In Javakheti region we meet 2 young people, one who is a student migrant and a labor migrant in Russia, and one who already who stopped to be a labor migrant, but he is invested already the money for agricultural business. And in Armenia we have the 2 people who one who is already building the shop he wants, and the one who is going to continuing to go to Russia for open the new shop.
If we look at financial literacy, we have a couple of key features from these interviews. On the one hand, we have personal savings, personal spending, personal investment. We also look at long-term investment. We have one interviewee here who invests long-term, also the other 2 who decided to invest in building stores and shops in their local villages. That has also very long-term effects and require long-term also investment, because it's not something that just happens very quickly.
The interesting part is that of course that requires investment and requires financial literacy and skills to save money and to spend them in the right way. And in these terms, all of them were for this or that period of time were labor migrants, and they mention it themselves, particularly the guy from Minotminda, Grigor, whom we talked to. He's saying, he's mentioning that he, working in Russia helped him in terms of learning how to save money, and in terms of gaining somehow financial literacy and implementing it in his city while doing a business or studying in another country. And I think Nune will introduce Grigor in a more detailed way, so we know what is.
Yeah, and in reality we also can notice that Grigor already has his own business, and it was just after having the labor experience in Russia. That means that he learned something from there. He brings the skills and knowledge and invested that in his own community.
Հիմնականում գիտեցանք ոնց աշխատենք, ում հետ աշխատենք, ոնց ծախսենք։ Այդ գումարը հիմնականում տան փոքսերը գործի մեջ դնել, իմ սովորում եմ, քանի որ ես արդեն սովորում եմ 2-րդ կուրսեմ, այնտեղի ծախսերը, վարձս եւ այդպես շարունակել եմ։
Nune, you're highlighting something really important. You're basically already giving a very interesting answer to the labor migration experience, because all of these 4 individuals that we interviewed, they all have something in common, and that's that their spending behavior, their savings behavior, the way they acquired more information and knowledge on how to make use of their money more effectively and hence more rational. That came from their migration experience. It's very difficult to argue against the point that no, they did not learn how to spend money better without going into migration, and that's why the migration experience is also part of development. When we're talking about development, I think it's very clear, we have to be very clear here to talk about human development, as we also mentioned in the first episode, that human development is also something connected to personal development. Personal development meaning that you're really developing skills that are effective pretty much anywhere you go in the world. Also when it comes to social networks, which are elementary in Armenian culture. We also made the point here that Armenian communities are connected, but they could be much more connected, and financial literacy is a way forward to see those things happening. Especially in border communities, as you know, we have interviewed these persons, but they're not really aware of the full potential of cross-border exchange of skills and knowledge and so on.
Դե տաքսի սերվիս ենք բացել։ Դե միտքը մի 2 տարի է եկել է, բայց մենք բացել ենք մի 5 ամիս էլի։ Այստեղ բիզնեսներ ստեղծել, գործեր ստեղծել, որ էլ կարիք չլինի գնալ դուրս աշխատելու։
Yeah, I want to add on point about how they use that financial literacy. I mean, what are the ways for them to use that knowledge or to gain it? I think Grigor is also interested from the point of flexibility, and that also relates to financial literacy as well, because you need a lot of knowledge to be flexible and to use all the opportunities that you have. And in these terms, Grigor is he's studying in Yerevan. He's originally from Ninotsminda and he's working in Russia. So he's kind of this regional circular thing, which is I think important, because he uses whatever he invests money in his education in one country, he earns money in another country, and then invests it in a business in his community.
Carrying on from financial literacy, we have to look at the development factor of skills and competence and how this is made use in more practice. And we can see that if we compare across the board the migration experience that they have, you know, the first guy we interviewed in Ninosminda being the youngest, and then we're looking across the board to the oldest, we see that the migration experience has a deep impact on the level of skill and competence. And also when it comes to I'm gonna be bold and call it a development action or a development-oriented investment. They are at the point of their migration experience feeling that, okay, they're getting older, therefore they want to make sure that all their money that they're earning abroad goes to investment and investing in a project that they have at home.
Ռուսաստանից փողեր բերենք, ուզենք որ այդ փողերն էլ մեր Հայաստանի մեջն են, մեր հողի ջրի մեջն են։ Ցինդեղած երած ընդեղ եք մնա, բայց քո հողի ջրի մեջ պիտի։ Դենես որ ժառանգները, երեխեքը, հոր ես սաղի ինչ եմ կրած, հավաքետ անի Ռուսաստան, ինչ ստեղծենք, ինչ ենենք, իմ երեխանց համար ստեղ։
And what they all have in common that I think is extremely rational, if we should talk about rationality here, is that especially the older guys, they invest in something that they see that their community or their friends and family need.
I think David's example is good in this term from Lori, who is he just has the idea. He hasn't saved up enough money, but he's working on that.
Շատ փողի բերեստի մի հատ խանութ տնես կամ միտքը մի հատ ինչ-որ մի բիզնեսով զբաղվես, ասենք փոքր ինչ-որ մի բանից սկսես, այդ ուրիշ բան։ Ասենք միտքը շինանյութի խանութ երկու գյուղ են կողմ տնենք, բայց դե էլի գումարային հարցի խաթր ասենք չենք կարող էլի։
The interesting thing is that he sees kind of him from outside, like he analyzes the situation and he wants to open a shop of construction materials, which there is not one such kind of shop in the nearby area in the villages.
Մենակ Ստեփանավան շինանքի խանութ կա, գյուղերը չկա, ասենք լավ կլեր, որ ինչ-որ մի գյուղը մլեր, միտքը մեկին մի բան պետք է չհասնի, 1000 դրամ ծախսի գնա հասնի քաղաքները, ստես մի անգամից մի հատ շուրուպ իմարքի հասնի։ Համիրի համար լավ կլի համբեսմար մոտիկ վեկումիկ կգա, բայց մենք այդ հնարավորությունը չունենք սովորության, որ այդ արենդավատ անենք կամ ինչ-որ մի բան սարքենք, այդքան ապրանքներ լցնենք մեջը, որ կարողանանք ծախենք։ Այդ է։
And you started a little bit touching upon the guy we interviewed in Georgia, and he's into agriculture. He's investing long term.
Grisha, living in Nakhaltsikhe, he had migration experience in Russia, but there was a time that he understood that already have enough money to bring and to invest into some business.
Գյուղատնտեսությունով եմ սկսել զբաղվել, հիմա պոպոկի այգիներ ունեմ, հենց պոպոկի սիմվոլիկան այն էլ է, որ պոպոկը 1000 տարի ապրում է, այդ 1000 տարի իմ սերունդները պետք է օգտվեն այդ պոպոկի բարիքներից, դա էլ է սիմվոլիկ բան է։ Երկու գյուղում է, հիմա դիտմամբ եմ երկու գյուղի մեջ արել, պոպոկի ամենամեծ ռիսկերը թշնամիները կարկուտն է։
One thing that was interesting, he did that. He thinks about the alternatives, how we can make the business really to be successful. So he planned this plantation into two villages
because these are walnuts, right?
Walnut business.
Yeah.
Because in maybe if one village there will be something connected with the weather or something, they will damage. The other will stay.
Yeah, and also the walnut farming and agriculture always requires long-term investment for long-term wins and gains. And obviously walnut, planting it from scratch that he did will take him some time to earn some revenue, but it's a very safe investment.
Mm-hmm.
So in this regard, he's securing himself.
He's securing himself and even securing his business.
When we are talking about the migration process, we need to talk also about the selection of migration. It means the people, the migrant, he wants to be a seasonal migrant, like several years, more than 5 years, to go and come to the country, or to immigrate there for the permanent living. I think that it's their personal, individual decision to be a seasonal or to be a permanent immigrant in that country. I'm from the Shirak region, who says that he's in the migration process already more than almost 20 years. And he says that he had the opportunity to get the citizenship, Russian citizenship, but he decided to come back and to stay in Armenia.
Ինձ ամեն հնարավորությունը լա որ քաղաքացիել տանամ հենց իմել ինձ կա այդ հնարավորությունը ես իմել քաղաքացի տա։ Ես չեմ տա։ Ես չեմ ուզա Հայաստանից կդրի մեր եղիկին։ Կդրել սա կուզեմ ռեալիստ Հայաստան։
Now he's continuing to go to Russia as a migrant, bringing the skills, bringing the money, and start something here. So this is his own decision to be not to go and to live there permanently.
The thing is that each of them grounds that and justify. I mean, it has his own incentives to take this or that decision. And particularly this guy from Lernaget, he says that this is his perception that whatever you do there, you contribute to that country, and whatever you invest in here, you contribute to this country. And he wants to invest something in the future of his family and generations, because he plans to stay here. He says that I cannot move there with all my whatever I have. Like he's not taking, meaning that he's not taking, in his case, the decision for himself. He's taking the decision for the community.
if we can just go a little bit deeper into the actual fabric of decision making, and also you're pointing to selection of migration, meaning, what form of migration am I involved in? Is it conscious, or is it something that is just out of control? You're not actually fully in control of your migration situation. It's an opportunity that might present itself, like on a seasonal basis. You travel out to work for, you have a start and an ending date, and you know that you're coming back. If we know that a majority of labor migrants from Armenia are engaged in this kind of circular migration movement, but it's not very much organized more than that. You get your ticket, you know that you're gonna work somewhere. Sometimes it's more organized in terms of where you're gonna work, and the ending date when you're coming back is more or less known. A period is set. If we look at selection of migration and where we see higher potential of development impact, we see that temporary migration or seasonal migration can play a really, really big role when it comes to country development overall. And also that if this is much more organized, it's also possible for the migrant to get more revenue, to create a career path, not being engaged in the same type of labor options. Of course, someone who has been engaged in labor migration over a longer period of time will want to make more money. No question about that. But also making more money means that other options presents itself in that reality after so many years, that coming back and investing in your homeland is a fading option. It's an option that is declining in interest. It's a natural cause. I think this is a very logical way of looking at this issue. And if fewer people are investing and fewer people are engaged and more people are engaged in migration, then of course this is like a curve that cancels itself, right? So if we look at that, we also need to understand where can we do proper investments into that exact point of crossing, because that crossing point is crucial when it comes to exactly the country development factor. And we're talking about how can we make better use of labor migration as a process, because it gives us so many benefits. Not just about capital, it gives also the skills. It passes on to generations and further on and so forth. And communities are linked to each other internationally and locally and so on. And that also has a very, very big role when it comes to country development. But if we cannot capitalize on, very mature migration cycles or migration movements, it is very difficult to elevate or raise and see the benefits from financial literacy, skills and competence development on a local level, and the migration selection process overall. So all these three factors have a very powerful interplay that needs to be further understood, and also needs to be discussed on a one-to-one basis, just like what we're doing here right now. And that's also our goal with these episodes, is to bring these topics out there, so you should start talking about these very, very basic things.